All right, so we're starting. So my name's Sharma. People know me as SharmaFX, and I've been trading for about 5 years now. Did stocks before this, got into foreign exchange trading. Now both of us have our own mentorships here. Go ahead and you can introduce yourself, Stefanos.
Sure, sure. What's going on, guys? My name is Stefanos, better known as StefanosFX. I've been trading about 2 years now. Obviously, less experience than Sharma, but listen, it's been amazing. Obviously, the growth that you go through, and this is something that we're going to be going over today, which is discipline.
Mhm.
But the growth that you grow as a person, that kind of I don't know. Journey that you're on, it just grows you as a person, and that's basically what trading is. Obviously, trading is to make money, trading is to create a living for yourself and all that. But the skill that you go through, the the trials and errors that you go through, that's basically what trading really is and what it is to me. That's what I embrace about it. So yeah,
I think that was very well put. So,
for sure.
we're creating a series here, and we're going to talk about all the things that people usually don't talk about in their YouTube videos, on their Instagrams, and things like that. But things that are going to make the biggest difference in your trading, in your journey, and help you become successful. So, these are things that people don't talk about at all. These are things that you learn along the way. So, these are things that I've learned in the past 5 years. These are things that Stefanos has learned in his years of trading. And basically, today's topic is going to be all about discipline. So, that's
Mhm.
one of the key things in trading. So, what has your experience been like, or how did you build up your discipline in trading,
Yeah.
Stefanos?
This is well, I've always kind of been disciplined since turning 21. I don't know what it was. I really turned the corner. I think I was done playing football in college, and I
Mm-hmm.
realized like, okay, I'm getting to the end of this journey right now, and there's something that I need to do first to stay competitive, because I've
Mm-hmm.
always been like more of a competitive person. But just like you're done playing college football, what do you do now? Um, and I really got into studying my career. Like, going through college, a lot of it's social. A lot of it, if you're an athlete, you're playing football, you're focusing on that. That's like a full time job within itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't. I went into college to find like to really play football. I wasn't as mature back then. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't focused as much on my career, which was criminal justice. I was studying criminal justice at the time. So long story short, by the time I was done playing football, I still had more courses to go. I had a semester or two to go left. And I realized, okay, I really need to start digging into my career and understanding, like, okay, what do I want to do? And from that point on, it was really just like, here we go. Like a flick, I don't know, something just happened in my brain where it's just like, okay, I kind of just matured by the time I was 21. Uh, as soon as I turned 21, really, and it's just been uphill since. It's long story short, getting into trading, there's been a lot of different trials and errors and stuff like that. But I really got disciplined in the life aspect when it comes to that. But when it came to trading, I came up with a friend of mine who was trying to get into trading as well,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't have discipline at all. And that's kind of where my discipline came from, by watching him and seeing what not to do. So that really helped. I could go
A huge
stories and
shout out
stories
to
with
that
that.
friend.
Yes, yes, we're not mentioning names, but long story short, just watching that, not having discipline, being so emotionally involved in the markets and being so like captivated by everything going on, and you're just getting pulled and pushed everywhere by the market. Watching that from a distance, that'll help you grow you personally. That'll help you grow your discipline much quicker. And hopefully, me just saying this right now helps you understand that. Sometimes people got to go through that on their own, but yeah, it was very easy for me in the beginning to become disciplined, and that's all I focused on from the beginning was building my discipline, and that all comes from the foundation that you lay in your life. Building discipline in other areas makes it much easier in trading, and that's something that we're going to be getting into.
That's
I
awesome.
know I
So
kind of
mine
rambled
actually,
there, sorry guys,
no,
but trying to figure
no,
out the way we're doing this.
it's as natural as raw as it gets. Mine actually started off, well, I got introduced to what you call discipline, um, like years ago when I started karate actually. So
Nice.
in
I used to
yeah,
do
so it
taekwondo.
hey, that's awesome. They actually like these martial arts, they will actually force
Oh
you to
yeah.
be disciplined. But I
Hmm.
guess at that time I was just focusing on one part, which was like just karate itself, or even like school, for example, being disciplined there, being able to get your work done, this and that. But it was minor things. And so from there, when I started like, using the same exact stuff that I've learned from karate, for example, showing up like every single day, right? It's just an extracurricular. You don't have to show up,
Yeah.
but going there and then ultimately showing up first as a student and then after that as like an assistant teacher. And then from there, like, all the different aspects of just martial arts itself, and then trying to bring that into trading was I started off when I was trading, like I mentioned to you earlier, was that when I started trading, I used to go from like scalping, day trading, swing trading all at once, right? It was like I have $100 account. I want to like build this as fast as I can because those were the things that I've seen on YouTube, on Instagram, things like that, right? Trying to what people see as like get rich kind of a thing. Like I'm into trading for money. I want to make money as fast as possible. And obviously it worked for a very short amount of time, but it did not work long term because I didn't understand my why of trading, first of
Mm.
all. Like, why am I trading and all of that. Even in, for example, when I started off with stock trading, it was the same exact thing, trying to, build my account as fast as possible. But soon I learned, I was like, all right, I gotta figure out what's my schedule first, right? That kind of a thing. That was the first part of like my Forex discipline, you could call. It was figuring out I'm not gonna sit here in class every single day looking on my phone in TradingView, not paying attention, trying to look at trades in the middle of the day when there's nothing there,
Hmm.
right? Or when price is consolidating and I'm just like, all right, well, obviously the market's moving. I want to make money, that kind of a thing. So going from that to like, I'm not gonna sit here every single day, especially during like midterms or finals, and try to take a trade every single day when there isn't one, right? So finding like that optimal level of if I don't see a setup in the market, I'm not gonna take the trade. I don't have to trade every single day. That's one key thing that I learned that a lot of
Intent.
people, yeah. So a lot of people actually don't understand that still. It's like you don't have to trade every single day. You don't have to trade every single week. For example, 2 weeks ago, I think, is when GJ was started consolidating for like an entire week. I
Yeah.
didn't trade that week. Maybe I took
At
like
all.
one or two scalps with the team, but that was about it,
Mm.
right? So understanding you don't have to trade every single day. So that's where the discipline came in, and that's the foundation, like you said. That's the foundation for everything else in trading. Your risk management, your
Mm.
like being able to let your trades run for swing trades, for position trades, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, the discipline is like that macro category, I guess you could say, and then you got all these little micro little subjects that go under that, and there's so many
Hmm.
different things. When it comes to just trading in the market, having that self discipline in the market, and then when you're outside of the market, having that self discipline, not in other areas, obviously in other areas, but mainly. Like you have to make sure that you're back testing every day, making sure that you're journaling every day. You
Hmm.
know, it's not just discipline where it's like, all right, I need to cut my loss short right here or here, cut
Hmm.
50% of my trade. It's, I got to put some time into this.
Yeah.
I've heard this analogy too. Like, you got what, like 10,000 hours that you need to become a doctor, to become a lawyer, hundreds of thousands of dollars of, you're going to school, paying tuition, all this stuff to become
Hmm.
these great careers or whatever you want to be, but um, and people expect to just come into the trading world and start making money right away when this is the hardest market in the world, the
Yeah.
biggest market in the world. You think you're just gonna march in and start making a ton of money? You got to put the work in, and you got to have that discipline every single day, no matter what. You got to stay consistent every day. I got to back test every day. I got to journal, and
Yeah.
you just keep stacking those days, and you're gonna be good.
I think the best part to build your discipline, and it's the easiest too, but it obviously requires work, is journaling. So this
Mm,
is gonna be like a completely different video, but just to quickly like touch on it, like that's where your discipline really comes in. You could
mm,
show up every single day to the markets, you could show up on the charts, you could do your analysis every single day and everything, right? You could think like you're doing the perfect job, you have the perfect risk management, everything. But if you don't journal, that's where your discipline is really put at test. Like,
Mm,
are you actually going to come here and journal every single day? If you don't have the time to journal right after you're done trading, right? And I'm sure you would understand it the best because you have other commitments, like still coming back and finding the time to like, I still got to journal this. I got to go through like, what I do is pre-trade analysis and then post-trade analysis. So journaling both. What did
mm,
I think before I took the trade in my pre-trade analysis? What was my mentality? Where was I? Where's my mindset, right? What was my entire analysis? And then post trade, after the trade plays out, whether it's my stop loss, whether it's break even, whether it's TP, whatever it may be, what worked, what didn't work.
mm-hmm.
That's the key part that's going to make the biggest difference in your trading. Going
Oh,
back, looking
100%.
at the charts, not just doing post trade analysis, not just doing like, here's the partial, here's the entry, that's it, and then not doing anything else, not just doing the pre trade or post trade, not just doing like one single thing, but being able to identify like, this is what my mentality was going into the trade, and this is what happened, right? And looking
100%.
at the outcomes. And so next time when you see the same exact setup, it's like, all right, so this is what I was thinking last time. It worked for me. This is the same thing that I'm going to apply. Or this is what I was thinking and I had the same setup, but this is not what like how it played out for me. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it was an early entry, maybe news came out during that time or whatever it may be. Right. So I think journaling is where your discipline is put at test, but it's the best way to practice that discipline too.
100%. And I know this is more of like the intro video for this whole like mini course for everyone, but more into the journaling part. There you mentioned the two things that you do. You do the pre-analysis and the what
Post
happened
trade.
after. I love recording what happened after I close the trade and like where did price go after that. You
Yeah.
know that's kind of big for me. It's like all right, was I right in the analysis? Okay, where did price did it end up just reversing or did
Hmm.
it just continue going like could have uh, held that trade a lot longer so
Yeah.
there's kind of three different aspects to journaling that's super important and then
Hmm.
getting more into the discipline part of journaling add into the things that you got to do every day add reviewing 5 previous trades that you've taken um,
Hmm.
and that's super important too.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing is, I feel like we're getting a little too into journaling,
I know.
but
There's so many things running through my head right now that I want to say, and I'm just like,
yeah,
I'm just gonna hold it off.
yeah, but it's putting details too. I think that's part of discipline part, whether it's your analysis, whether it's journaling itself, whatever it may be. So what I mean by that is when I'm doing my analysis, whether it's a swing trade, whether it's a day trade, whether it's a scalp, whatever it may be, I always make sure that I'm going from higher time frames down to lower time frames, right? Because I want to look at what's the details that the market is telling me. So for example, if you have like a major resistance or support level, prices consolidating on, let's say, a monthly time frame, and you drop down to lower time frames, paying attention to those details. What is the price doing here? Is it consolidating right underneath this like a monthly resistance level, right? And then what does that essentially mean? And I guess for me, the discipline part comes in when I have to wait in my strategy. I have to wait until the fundamental and the technical analysis align.
Mm,
So always making sure that looking at the news, for example, understanding what's happening from an economic perspective, from a financial perspective, and then trying to apply that to the markets. Whenever I'm looking for a swing trade, almost 90% of the time, and I say that because sometimes like it'll align perfectly from a technical part, but like you don't have the fundamentals to push it. But almost 90% of the time, all my swing trades are after I get my confirmations from my fundamentals and my technical analysis.
mm,
So waiting for that time to align. Yes, the market's probably going to push up like 100 pips, 50 pips, 80 pips, 120 pips, right? But I know that, okay, it's going to a key level now, and all I have to do is wait. I know that there's going to be like interest rates coming out the following week, or for example, Powell's going to speak, or Bailey's going to speak, or like there's going to be some like high impact news that I know that it's coming out because it's in like, for example, Forex Factory or like whatever else that you use. You could see the calendar and just waiting for like, okay, whatever they say, I know that's gonna cause a huge like momentum in the market, and that's what I want to catch.
mm.
I'm ready to give up 50 pips this week in order to catch 250 pips next week, where my
Makes
risk
sense.
is going to be minimal.
100%. And yeah, like you said, lining those two things up. Some people like putting percentages on them.
Hmm.
Like 10% technical analysis and then 90% fundamental. There's and then you obviously change that when sometimes you don't have as much fundamental data coming out. So maybe this week it's going to be 80% technical analysis and then 20. You got to be able to adapt. And
Yeah.
and that's super important. It's not always going to be a set percentage of what you pay attention to more. I think you should pay attention to both at the same time, but sometimes you don't have as much economic data coming out. Sometimes not much is going on around the world or with your country that you're trading.
Hmm.
Um, so you just got to be able to adapt.
Yeah. The adapt flexibility in general, I think, is very important.
Oh yeah,
Because
fluidity.
I did have a lot of weeks where it was like, from a fundamental perspective, like there was like no high impact news coming out. It was like something like very low impact, like FOMC member speaking or like PMI news coming out or something like that, right? But it wasn't like interest rates or speeches.
It
But
was
it's
like 2 weeks ago.
understanding, yeah. And so understanding like, all right, what's the overall economic health, and then what's like the technical analysis telling me. But it's also what I've learned in my time here in Forex is that you're always going to see this battle between people of like technical over fundamentals or fundamental over technical.
It's
But
an
it's
ego trip.
learning, yeah, and it's learning that you need to learn how to use both together. You don't
Mm,
have to be advanced and like, be the best economist or like financial analyst or whatever out there in order to understand fundamentals. It's just understanding basic economics 101
mm.
and then applying that with technical analysis. So never like going to the market thinking, well, the market's going to eventually price in the fundamentals. So then I'll just, whatever, just do my technical analysis and take trades that way. Who cares about fundamentals? Right? Yes, the market's going to eventually price it in. The market eventually prices in everything. The fundamentals eventually take into account what's happening technical perspective from a technical perspective. Technical analysis takes into account whatever's happening from a fundamental perspective. But it's using both of them together to find that what I would call the optimal entry. There's never going to be
Yeah,
an optimal entry, but finding it at the level where your risk is the lowest,
there's
but you
key
have the highest
levels.
returns.
Yeah, those key levels super important. And like, I would say, would you say you're more of a fundamental trader?
I would say I'm both.
You're both,
And,
yeah, and so am I. But I would say that, like, to be honest, like I think both are super important and equally as important. I think
mhm,
the way I trade, I guess you could say, is I mainly focus on that technical analysis, and I won't go as deep into fundamental and into fundamental analysis. It's been a long day, but the it is something that I've always been working on the past couple of months, as you know.
mhm,
Just getting into this fundamental and all the fundamentals and getting into economics stuff like that. But right now, like the way I trade is mainly technical analysis, but it's not like I'm just ignoring fundamental analysis or I don't think it's
right.
important. It's definitely important, but like the main way I trade is just reading candles and wicks and understanding the way they print.
And see, that works because you're not ignoring fundamentals completely. You understand what's happening. You understand, like, if you're trading GJ, for example, you understand from an economic perspective what's happening in the UK, right? And then looking at it from a fundamental side, but your main strategy is technical analysis. The reason why I say that both for me is because whenever I come onto the charts, whenever I'm doing a live session, whenever like we're doing simulation session, whatever it is, the first thing that I do is pull up the news. I go on like Bloomberg, I go on like Forex Factory, whatever it may be. And even when we do our like Sunday live breakdowns, for example, on Instagram, the first thing that we do is we go through the fundamental side. It's like, all right, you have the news here, you have the fundamentals here, and then how do you apply that to a technical side, right? And then I go into technical analysis. Obviously, all my trades are going to be based off like something like break and retest or like retracement or whatever it may be, right? It's all based off like technical analysis, but I'm using the fundamentals as a complement to that
100%.
strategy.
100%.
So that's another thing. And that brings me to like another part of discipline is sticking to one strategy. So what I
Oh yeah.
see, like what I've seen, like when I started off with trading and like I used to talk to a couple of people, is everyone's like switching up their strategy, right? It didn't work for them for a month, it didn't work for them for 2 months. And then they're like, okay, well, obviously this strategy sucks, so I'm going to move on to something else. But in that cycle, they never really, I guess, perfect in a way. I wouldn't say like, I use that like very lightly because you're never going to perfect anything in the financial markets,
Yeah,
but
100%.
they never perfect one strategy. They just keep hopping around from one strategy to another. So is that
And
something that you've experienced?
um, honestly, no. When I first started trading, I first learned how to swing trade. It was a buddy of mine down in Miami. Went down there for a week. He taught me how to trade, but he ended up telling me who Rakil was. And
Mhm.
the only reason I kind of went over that way is because it made a little bit more sense to me, and it was just understanding how to read candles and wicks, right?
Mhm.
And when you understand that, it's like you could do anything you want after that because you're
Mhm.
understanding the skeleton of the chart. Like when you first learn how to trade, a lot of you guys are just starting out. Um, you learn a couple different indicators from your mentor or whatever like he uses, and most of the time a lot of these mentors out there, they do use indicators, and I'm not saying they don't work, but if you learn how to trade based on candles and wicks without any indicators whatsoever, then you could start adding that stuff. But if you
Yeah.
start out with I don't know,
SMA,
5, 6
EMA,
different
RSI.
indicators with a fib and a white cough and all this shit all over the place, it's you're gonna get very confused and you're gonna get frustrated and you're not gonna know what to do.
Yeah.
So a big thing when people are hopping strategies like that, and I've heard this from one of my own in my group already, is um, he he's like whenever he went through a losing streak, he always thought it was his strategy. The main thing is it's you, and not you, but like it's whoever you are, you're not content with whatever you're doing and you're not disciplined. And once you
Mhm.
get disciplined, whatever strategy you're using is going to work.
Yeah.
Vast majority of the time, 95, 99% of the time, it's not the strategy, it's just you.
Yeah.
You can't get the discipline in, you can't get the risk management down, and you're not treating it like a business. And I think that's something that we can, being that it's the intro video, that's something we can leave off. You got to treat this like a business.
Mhm.
And a lot of you guys just starting out, and trading seems like a whole gambling thing, or like you could just hop in the market, wake up, roll out of bed, and hop on the markets. But if you treat it like that, it's going to treat your account the same way. So
Yeah.
if you wake up early, you get in your fundamentals, you read some articles before you get on the charts, maybe do a quick back testing session before your real session, just to get your
Mhm.
eyes trained. Like treat this like either a massive business owner, CEO, or a professional athlete. And if
Yeah.
you look at yourself that way, you're gonna be well off. Trust me.
I think that was a nice way to end it off. And it's just, you gotta, like you said, you gotta treat it like a business. You gotta treat it like you're not gonna have overnight success in a business. You're not gonna have overnight success in trading. That's just how it is, right? You gotta build up from the scratch. When you're starting a business, you gotta understand, first of all, what's the core of your business? What's your product? What's your service? What's the why of your business? That's exactly what you have to do in trading. You have to understand your why. You need to understand that you are going to have to put in months. You're going to have to put in years. You're going to have to put in a lot of time. Trading is not just, I'm just going to trade for 1 year, get rich, and never look back at it. That's not what trading is. If that's your purpose, then trading is probably not for you,
Mm-hmm.
because realistically, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
You just brought up a very good point, and something that we could start the next video with is your why, and I think
mhm.
that's what we gotta start out with first, being that that's your foundation. That's why you're trading,
Yeah,
and the first thing every time I hop on a Zoom with someone on Instagram, first thing I ask him is like, why are you trading?
yeah,
Obviously where you're from, all that stuff, but like why do you trade? And
yeah,
they get into it and they give you that vague answer, and then start really getting into the okay, why do you want to make money?
yeah.
And once you start digging for that, sometimes it becomes very powerful what you start to realize why you're actually trading, and it's
Hmm.
much deeper than just reading candles or trying to make money and all that. It's much deeper than that. So
Yeah,
we can work on that next video, and
yeah.
you know get this thing
So
started.
yeah. So I think we covered a lot of things when it comes to discipline, like a lot of different, not just, what discipline is to both of us, how do we get started with discipline, but also like we introduced a couple of different topics that we are going to talk about later on in this series. But one thing, if you're new to trading, I know that you must have been through thousands of YouTube videos or thousands of like, whatever it may be. And you may have seen like that glamorous side of trading. And there is that glamorous side of trading, but it all comes down to discipline, whether it's technical analysis, fundamental analysis, trading psychology, risk management, whatever it may be, it all comes down to discipline. So I hope this video helped for people. And I think it was a great overview of what we're getting started here. So thank you,
Amen.
Stefanos.
Absolutely. You're welcome. See you guys soon.
See ya.